Good afternoon, welcome to SM News. My name is Philip and besides me is Samuel. Let's go through today's headlines.
Employment Ministry to inspect workplace compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols.
Akufo-Addo's gov spends yen 20.14 billion inches executing key campaign promises.
Stop the needless attacks on women group warns.
We have a good story, go out and tell it President to NPP faithfuls.
Conqueror Maatso Kordo endorses Talita of Ghana Most Beautiful 2020.
States reimpose curbs as US virus cases pass 2.5 million.
Rolling Stones warn Trump not to use their songs, or face legal action.
Princeton to remove Woodrow Wilson's name from policy school. 5 years of hunger, 5 years of war.
Afghanistan war, Russia denies paying militants to kill US troops. The Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations will effective July 1, 2020 embark on a safety protocols and measure at offices, shops and factories. The step is to ensure strict compliance with and enforcement of all COVID-19 protocols and guidelines outlined by government, the World Health Organization and the Ghana Health Service. This was contained in a statement copied to the Ghana News Agency by the Public Relations Unit of the Ministry. The decision followed the observation of the Ministry with grave concern the spread of COVID-19 at workplaces despite measures taken by government to curtail the spread of the virus. Although the Ministry and its social partners, employers and organized labor earlier on issued a 10-point communique urging employers and workers in general to continue to observe the necessary protocols and guidelines to keep workers safe, the inspection exercises to enforce strict compliance. There should also be an evidence of communication between management, workers and workers' representatives or over the phone, and evidence of physical distancing during meetings. All workplaces are also required to have an isolation room for persons who develop COVID-19 symptoms at the workplace, while awaiting transfer to an appropriate health facility, and arrangements should be made for disinfection of the workplace.
The Akufo-Addo-led government has spent yen 20.14 billion inches implementing the free SHS, banking sector cleanup, recruitment of 100,000 NADCO beneficiaries and restoring teacher nursing trainee allowances, as at the end of 2001. Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, who announced this on Saturday, during his acceptance address as President Akufo-Addo's running mate for this year's election, said government spent over 15 billion Ghana cedis in the banking sector clean up to save depositors' funds, 2 billion Ghana cedis annually on free SHS, and recruited 550,000 public sector workers, recounting some successes chalked so far by the ruling government. Dr. Bawumia mentioned the abolition of 15 nuisance taxes, scrapping of import duties by 50%, paid 2.1 billion Ghana cedis NHIS arrears, restored book and research allowance for university lecturers, increased the capitation grant, and restored the teacher trainee and nursing allowance.
A group of women traditional leaders have taken some political actors and social media users to the cleaners for their constant attack on the National Democratic Congress, NDC parliamentary candidate for Sajocon Media constituency in the Western region, Professor Grace Ansu Dankwa, Nana Abina Akanobia I, Amanakram Prabram Kasahemia, who spoke on behalf of the group at a press conference, said one of the major obstacles to women's political participation in Ghana is the culture of contempt, insults and passing of degrading comments against female political aspirants and politicians. She said for some time now, some political actors and social media users had been casting aspersions on the person of Professor Ansu Dankwa, a medical practitioner and a philanthropist, a move seen to just discourage her attempt to contest as a parliamentary candidate.
President Akufo-Addo has called on the New Patriotic Party, NPP faithful, to promote the outstanding achievements of government in the management of the affairs of country, as the party seeks re-election in December. We grow the economy, they shrink the economy. We create the properly regulated, enabling atmosphere for business to flourish. They allow chancers and speculations to lure citizens into putting their monies into dodgy enterprises. They bring our banks and financial services to near collapse, and we have to clean up, shore up and restore confidence. He continued, they plunge us into dumpster, we keep the lights on. They look on clueless, as hundreds of thousands of Ghana's children exit school at JHS. We bring free SHS and free TVET to prepare our children better to face life. They resort to crude language when faced with difficult arguments. We raise the level of public discourse. I urge you, therefore, my dear friends and colleagues, to go out with the confidence that comes from your government performing well, and running the affairs of the country competently. Tell our story to the Ghanaian people, and tell it often, he said.
Ex-manager conqueror Maazzo Cordo of 2018 Ghana's Most Beautiful winner Abina, who is the Speaker of Ayazo Central Youth Parliament and doubles the President of Peace for Progress Alliance, NGO, has endorsed the Upper East representative of the Ghana's Most Beautiful 2020. Talita is the one that is very likely to be crowned Ghana's Most Beautiful winner 2020. He believes Talita is very articulate, eloquent, confident and always ready to learn to improve herself. He had said that he believes in people who are always trying to get better and is ready to support Talita and the Upper East this year to win the crown.
Coronavirus infections across the United States have passed 2.5 million, with record numbers of cases reported in the states of Florida and Texas. The surge in cases in southern states comes after businesses were allowed to reopen in recent weeks. On Saturday, Florida reported more than 9,500 new cases, up from almost 9,000 on Friday, the previous record. The spike has led state officials to tighten restrictions on business again, as Texas also did on Friday. The leading U.S. government advisor on coronavirus, Dr. Anthony Fauci, said last week that the country had a serious problem. More than 125,000 COVID-19 patients have died nationwide, more than in any other country. Speaking at the first White House Coronavirus Task Force briefing in 2 months, Dr. Fauci said on Friday that the current rises were due to regions maybe opening a little bit too early and to people themselves not following guidance. People are infecting other people, and then ultimately you will infect someone who's vulnerable, he said. The total number of cases in Florida so far is over 132,000. More than 3,300 people with COVID-19 have died. Many other southern and western states have reported record spikes as they moved to reopen and people from other areas poured in recent weeks. Last week, Texas, Florida and Arizona put reopening plans on pause in an effort to tackle the outbreak. On Saturday, Johns Hopkins University said the total number of cases in the country had risen to 2,505,593. While some of the rise was down to more extensive testing, the rate of positive tests in some areas is also increasing. Health officials estimate the true number of cases is likely to be 10 times higher than the confirmed total. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control, CDC, said up to 20 million Americans may have been infected.
The Rolling Stones have warned U.S. President Donald Trump that he could face legal action if he continues using their songs at his campaign rallies. A statement from the band's legal team said it was working with the performing rights organization, the BMI, to stop the unauthorized use of their music. The Trump campaign used the song "You Can't Always Get What You Want" at last week's rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The same song was used by the Trump campaign during the 2016 U.S. election. The Rolling Stones do not endorse Donald Trump, the band tweeted in 2016. In a statement released on Saturday, representatives for the group said that further steps to exclude Mr. Trump from using Rolling Stones material in future presidential campaigning was necessary after previous cease and desist directives had been ignored. The BMI has reportedly notified the Trump campaign on behalf of the Stones that the use of their songs without permission will constitute a breach of its licensing agreement, and would be subject to legal action.
Princeton University says it is to remove the name of former U.S. President Woodrow Wilson from a building on its campus because of his racist beliefs and policies. The move follows a wave of protests across the U.S. sparked by the death of African-American man George Floyd. Wilson was U.S. President from 1913 to 1921 and helped to establish the League of Nations, a forerunner of the UN. However, he supported segregation and imposed it on several federal agencies. He also barred black students from Princeton while serving as university president and spoke approvingly of the Ku Klux Klan. In a separate development on Saturday, the lower house of the Mississippi State Congress passed a resolution that could remove the Confederate emblem, now viewed by many as a racist symbol, from the state flag. Earlier this month, Monmouth University in New Jersey removed Woodrow Wilson's name from one of its most prominent buildings. However, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order calling for protesters who target monuments to be imprisoned. The measure says anyone who damages a public statue must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Salwa al-Adawi is the same age as Yemen's 5-year civil war, and has brain damage caused by the malnutrition she has suffered since she was 2 months old. Her parents are among the 2 million Yemenis who have been forced to flee their homes because of the conflict, and her father says the family can't pay for any more medical treatment. The country faces the world's worst humanitarian crisis. With the coronavirus pandemic compounding the effects of the war, there are warnings that millions of children in Yemen could be pushed to the brink of starvation unless international aid is dramatically stepped up.
Russia has rejected as baseless accusations that it offered Taliban-linked militants rewards to kill U.S. and other NATO troops in Afghanistan. The New York Times and Washington Post cited U.S. officials as saying a Russian military intelligence unit linked to assassination attempts in Europe had offered the alleged bounties last year. The Russian embassy in the U.S. said the claims had led to threats to diplomats. The Taliban also denied there was any such deal with Russian intelligence. The reports come as the U.S. attempts to negotiate a peace deal to end the 19-year war in Afghanistan. According to the New York Times, President Donald Trump was briefed on the reports in March, but the White House has denied this. Neither the president nor the vice president were briefed on the alleged Russian bounty intelligence, said White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany on Saturday evening. However, she added, this does not speak to the merit of the alleged intelligence but to the inaccuracy of the New York Times story erroneously suggesting that President Trump was briefed on this matter. The unnamed official cited by the New York Times said U.S. intelligence agencies had concluded months ago that a unit of Russia's GRU military intelligence agency had sought to destabilize its adversaries by covertly offering bounties for successful attacks on coalition forces. Islamist militants, or armed criminal elements closely associated with them, were believed to have collected some money, the newspaper said.
We will catch you this evening, so stay tuned. Goodbye.